So what's odd is I've been in leadership in both environments. So
Okay.
in both the church environment and currently obviously in leadership from a corporate perspective. And what you just learn is, right, number one, I've learned how to keep the people first. One of my first mentors in business told me, you have to remember, Travis, those people can be successful without you, but you can't be successful without those people. They actually do the work. So I think sometimes as leaders, we've got to remember that if nobody's following, we're not really leading.
That's right. Today, I'm joined by my dear brother, Travis Buckner, who's going to sit and talk to me because he has experience in the area of leadership and corporate America. Today, we're going to come from 1 Samuel, the 22nd chapter, and we're going to talk about King David as he had to take on men and bring them together to become mighty men of war.
We are building churches and we're building infrastructure and we're building systems. Yet largely these are volunteers.
That's right.
So it takes a different skill set to be able to communicate to people who have no reason to follow you. There is no financial reward for following you.
Yeah.
And so I think it shows great leadership when you can put together a group of individuals who only want to move the vision forward.
That's right. And the thing that gets me, you're coming from the corporate perspective. The same holds true in the church.
Yeah.
But the most difficult part about it is that nobody's getting a salary per se. It's volunteer. So you have to have a different tact. David. You know, he had guys that just scoundrels, and they just weren't gonna get it, and he knew they weren't gonna get it, but he accepted everybody. And some of them were scoundrels when they came in, and the next thing you know, they his best soldiers. So you just never know what you're getting. But to understand the mind is the oldest creation we got, and the way we're thinking is the same way back then. But it was just a different environment.
You got to learn what people you can pour into, what return is coming.
Right.
And then you've got to learn that sometimes you can't invest in people that will end up being a zero-sum game. Meaning
right.
You're going to lose it all.
That's right.
Trying to manage this person, trying to lead this person to a place that ultimately they just don't want to go.
Imagine being in a leadership role and everyone that follow you are people that are distressed, discontented, financially strapped. They can't help you at all. But they're coming to you and they're saying, lead me, guide me, show me how to get my life back in order. Well, today we're going to come from 1 Samuel, the 22nd chapter, and we're going to talk about King David as he had to take on men that I have just described and bring them together to become mighty men of war. Well, today I'm joined by my dear brother, Brother Travis Buckner, who's going to sit and talk to me because he has experience in the area of leadership and corporate America. So, with no further ado, I would like to welcome Brother Travis Buckner. All righty, brother. How you doing today?
Fantastic.
All
Always
right.
a pleasure to sit down and talk with you.
Yes,
Always
sir.
enjoy these conversations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have experience in the area of management. Okay, so you face challenges with people and in interpersonal skills and dealing with all of this. So if you would take a moment out before we go to King David, just to give a little backdrop of the type of work or you do or the management skills that you have.
Yeah, so what's odd is I've been in leadership in both environments. So
Okay.
in both the church environment and currently obviously in leadership from a corporate perspective.
Okay.
And what you just learn is, right, number one, I've learned how to keep the people first. One of my first mentors in business told me, you have to remember, Travis, those people can be successful without you, but you can't be successful without those people. They actually do the work. So I think sometimes as leaders, we've got to remember that if nobody's following, we're not really leading.
That's right.
So I think you have to lead with a people first mentality, the
Right.
idea of being a servant leader. And I do believe over time, all great leaders should develop other leaders. That is our goal. I think that is our purpose, is to continue to put people out into the harvest field, to go.
Right.
All great ministries should continue to create ministries.
Amen. I
All
agree.
great leaders in the church environment should continue to create consistent church environment, church leaders, and I think it's the same way in corporate world.
In the corporate, right? So, understanding what our topic is today concerning King David, he was given a tremendous challenge.
Mhm.
Okay, number one, he doesn't have the resources. He's in a cave for that season. He's under pressure because he's running from Saul. So I guess the thing that gets me, what did you see in that particular passage concerning that story as those men, they got to, David?
So I think what is clear is that people with issues were drawn to David,
Okay.
because I think they empathized with his plight and probably felt similar to him. David had not done anything wrong. His assignment was to serve the king, to play the harp, to give the king relief.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was his leader became insecure because others saw the gift inside of David and they were giving David praise instead of giving Saul praise. And so because of that, Saul did everything he could to eliminate David. And so I think what happened is people saw his story, and those individuals who felt the same way, I haven't done anything wrong, but here I am broken, discontent, without resources. I want to help somebody that's in the same circumstance as me. So I think key number one as leaders is recognize that you will draw people who are like you, who are like-minded, be that good or be that bad. There will be people surrounding you who have the same mindset and mentality. And your job as a leader is to continue to cultivate and help those people to grow and develop. Because I can imagine David is stressed already.
Right.
He's on the run, and he's in a cave with people who probably have the worst self-talk, the worst mindset, always constantly negative. And that's difficult to deal with as a leader when you're already facing adversity.
Right.
So his number one task had to be, I've got to fix these people's mindset.
Right.
I've got to change their conversation. So it's a developmental process when you're dealing with people who aren't already a finished product.
Okay, right there. We in modern day church, and the rejected spirit can be strong.
Yes.
Okay, but King David didn't reject some of the worst men in that society at that time.
Yeah, so it's a different.
So what that say about it?
It tells me that right now church is not the hospital it was intended to be.
Okay.
A lot of churches don't want to do the work of discipleship. They
Right.
don't want to take a person that has no previous experience from a Christian perspective
Yeah.
and develop that person, teach them the habits and behaviors, teach them spiritual discipline. They don't want to deal with that because it's messy.
Yes. Yes.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. You've got to
Right.
teach a person a new set of behaviors and thought patterns, and they don't respect your norms
Right.
because they don't have any idea what those norms are.
Right.
And so I think that's why you really don't see in today's modern church people who are willing to do the dirty work.
Wow. And the thing that gets me, not only that, when we talk about rejection and how he didn't reject these broken men, he brought them in, right? Let's look at this notion of being under the pressure as a leader and having to carry that out.
Yeah, I mean, I tell my team all the time, I'm their covering. I'm their shield.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things I'm dealing with, they have no idea. I don't even bring it to them.
Right.
As a leader, you carry the weight of the vision.
Yeah.
You are normally the only person that can clearly see the vision that God gave you, and you are trying to show others that vision.
That's right.
And so many times they don't get it.
Right.
And so you have the pressure of number one, I've got to execute at a high level on a daily basis so
Right.
this thing can come to pass.
Right.
And then I've also got to be ultra sensitive to the voice of God, because I may need to go left when all along we've been going right. And then I've got to make sure that as I'm moving forward, I'm not leaving my followers behind.
Wow.
So I think the hardest thing in leadership to me, number one, is to carry the vision and to articulate the vision consistently in a way that those behind me can understand. And then also taking the time to explain why.
Right.
Even if it's just, I believe this is the direction God is telling me to go in.
Wow.
And sometimes as leaders, we don't want to take the time to explain the
Right.
why to people.
Right. Right. You know, as David was under the pressure of running from Saul and still having to train these men, a very serious disconnect could have taken place at any time at developing them. How important it is while you are under the pressure to stay connected.
Yeah, so in the corporate world, we call those one-on-ones, right? So I have a
Okay.
weekly team meeting
Okay.
with my team. We talk about things, and then I meet one-on-one with each one of my direct reports.
Mm-hmm.
And so that conversation, it's for them. Now, if there are performance issues, I will address those, but typically it's a free-flowing conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We always looking at their goals, their objectives, their developmental plan,
Mm-hmm.
so that we, to your point, stay connected, so that when we get to review periods,
Mm-hmm.
there's no misunderstanding of why you are where you are, because consistently throughout the year, we've talked about things I need you to do better,
Mm-hmm.
opportunities for you,
Mm-hmm.
where are you with this, and that. So I think it's very important that, number one, collectively, David's meeting with that group of individuals.
Right.
Because again, they're on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, there are life and death decisions
Right.
that have to be made. And in those moments, you really don't have time to stop.
Yeah.
But when you do have the time to sit and talk, it's important that you talk to your group collectively,
Mm-hmm.
but also take the time to meet with each person individually, because every person needs a different type of leadership.
That's right. And the thing that gets me, you're coming from the corporate perspective. The same holds true in the church.
Yes.
But the most difficult part about it is that nobody's getting a salary per se. It's volunteer. So you have to have a different tact in order just to get this to them to stay connected, to get to the overall vision.
Yeah, and I believe that speaks to great leadership.
Okay.
Because they have to listen to me, because
Right.
their livelihood depends on it.
Right.
When we are building churches and we're building infrastructure and we're building systems, largely these are volunteers.
That's right.
So it takes a different skill set to be able to communicate to people who have no reason to follow you. There is no financial reward for following you.
Yeah.
And so I think it shows great leadership when you can put together a group of individuals who have who only want to move the vision forward.
That's right.
And so you also have to be sensitive to that as a leader,
That's
right?
right.
So it does require a different skills. Still the same principles.
Right.
I'm still going to connect with my key volunteers. We're still
Right.
going to talk about metrics and data.
Right.
But it's a heart conversation.
Gotcha.
And it's a help conversation, because you've got to get their heart. Then you can give them the help that they need to develop.
That's
I think
right.
so many times, like, we forget these are human beings.
Right. That's right.
These are humans
That's
we're
right.
trying to develop. They
That's
have
right.
issues at home. They have issues at work, and they're coming to serve you on their off time.
On the off time.
And then
That's right.
you want to create difficult environments.
That's-
So we've got
Yeah.
to be really, I think, sensitive to that as leaders in the church arena.
That's right. That's right. I agree so much. Sometimes, just to piggyback off this, we as leaders, we actually have to do a little more giving, or a lot more giving, because people sometimes will not even follow unless you have done something for them, in some cases. Not to say that's manipulation, but it's having that ability to serve your community. And usually people will listen to you a little better if they know that you have helped them or their family.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
therefore, but you don't want to get stuck right there as a leader. You want to be able to say, okay, we have helped you. Here's the vision that we're trying to get to. You know, if you want to expound, you can go here. But that's what I saw as that having that difference.
Yeah, my first pastor would always say people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
And so that is a fact. Like you have to have a investment in people.
That's
and
right.
You've got to be willing to, like I always say, work side by side with people through their issues. Give them the support that they need, because again, not everybody's going to be a ready-made product.
That's right.
So these people are going to have financial issues, and they're going to come to you and say, like, I'm dealing with this. How can you help?
That's right.
They're going to have marital issues. They're going to have issues with their children. They're going to want you to be at every birthday party. They're going to want you to be at every, if you're going to court, they're going to want you to be there.
That's right.
So you as a leader have to be able to, as you're building it,
right,
be willing to invest.
That's right.
Sow those seeds.
That's right.
Because you will receive a harvest.
That's right.
From that, whether you do it or don't do it.
That's right.
So I think it is important that, again, you be, as a leader, you should be a servant leader.
Servant leader. That's right. I agree totally, because that's that uniqueness that comes outside of the corporate when we're talking about volunteers. And, corporate also do it, but they know the investment that they're putting into that community is so clear, and yet we out here in the ministry, sometimes we think that it's hard, but it's really not hard to invest in people, because you're going to see a harvest at some point. Like you said, regardless, you're going to get that harvest. Okay, so we have to know as leaders that it's all right to invest, but understanding why we invest. And like anything else, as we invest, know our risk tolerance.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because no is an answer.
Right.
Because you have to be sensitive in the church world. And I've seen this in my. I'll be 47 next month. I've been saved since I was 18 and actively involved in church for almost now 30 years.
Right.
And there are people who don't have the best intentions.
That's right.
And so sometimes people will take your compassion or your empathy as a sign of weakness.
That's right.
And so you see the same people come back to you with the same issues, wanting the same things. And I think love is also saying, no, this time we can't help you.
No. That's right.
At this point, it's a different issue that I can't continue to deal with. So I think that's fair.
Yeah. And if people don't understand this, well, we have to understand what you're saying. You see, the mind is old as time. Okay? It's only one mind. So if what you're saying today is true, it was happening with David.
Mm-hmm.
He had guys that just scoundrels, and they just weren't going to get it. And he knew they weren't going to get it, but he accepted everybody.
Yeah.
Okay? And some of them were scoundrels when they came in, and the next thing you know, they his best soldiers. So you just never know what you're getting. But to understand the mind is the oldest creation we got, and the way we're thinking is the same way back then. But it was just a different environment.
Yeah, different challenges, different issues.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's the same. He was dealing with a collection of people who he probably were closer to ready-made. He could trust and depend on.
Right.
Then he probably was dealing with a group of people who didn't want to do nothing. You just have those people
that's right.
in the church arena. They just want to show up on Sunday, be fed, and leave full.
That's
They will not contribute. They don't want to volunteer. They don't want to be a part of a small group.
That's right.
And so you've got to understand that. It's always 80-20 regardless of the size.
That's right.
20% of the people are going to do 80% of the work. So then as a leader, what you've got to learn how to do is allocate resources appropriately.
Right.
I'm going to spend 80% of my time with the 20%.
That's right.
Because they're moving the vision forward, and 20% of my time with the other 80%.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's resource allocation. But to your point, right, you've got to learn what people you can pour into,
right?
What return is coming,
right?
And then you've got to learn that sometimes you can't invest in people that will end up being a zero-sum game, meaning
right.
you're going to lose it all
That's right.
trying to manage this person, trying to lead this person to a place that ultimately they just don't want to go.
That's right. That's right. Taking a shift here, David had another situation that the Bible was talking about, and that's his family. He had to get his parents to a safe location just to be able to do what he was doing and not worry about their welfare, or their safety. So he had to do some things a little different. What about today?
I think it's the same. Sometimes we prioritize the work
Mm-hmm.
over family.
Yeah.
So what I'm really good about now is having boundaries around where work ends and life begins.
Yeah.
I think it's even more important in ministry.
That's right.
Because your first ministry
That's right.
are the people you come home to.
That's right.
That's your wife, your children. So you've got to make sure from a security perspective
That's right.
that they're emotionally secure. The reason why I believe people run from church or people don't want to be involved in church, especially children of church leaders,
Yeah.
is because they've seen their parents prioritize other people's safety
That's right.
over their own.
That's right.
And so as leaders, we've got to realize my number one job is to disciple the people who live in the house with me because they're the closest to me. They see me every day. And if they constantly seeing me place the needs of others above theirs, they're not going to want to be involved. They're not going to want to be engaged because they see the ministry as an adversary.
That's right. And a chore almost, man, And, it was just like I was talking to my wife just on last night. I had just made it in town and we was just sitting down discussing, priorities. And as I shared with her, I said, I literally sit with a quadrant. And I'm quite sure many people in business know what the four quadrants are, your urgency, your importance, and your values and all of that. Well, I said, this home and you all are in the number one quadrant.
Always.
You all are urgent. And if I don't deal with it, it's going to be pressing on me. And if I don't get it straightened out, it's going to cause problems. Now, over here is number two. This is my job. But it takes number two to take care of a lot of the urgency at number one, at number one. So that's how I had to try to explain that I can't get around the family. And I'm not going to try because your family can become a very pressing matter if neglected.
Yes.
If neglected, it would become and you can't get the other things accomplished.
No. And so I think, we're all busy, so busyness is not an excuse to neglect the things that are most important. I think we allocate time for things that are most important to us. So that's why for my wife and myself, like Friday that's our date night.
Okay.
Whether we happy, sad, busy, not busy. When I set my travel schedule, so I'm back home Friday morning because Friday night we're going out. So you have to have certain non-negotiables when it comes to prioritizing your family. You have to make the time because what you will realize is the time will go by faster than you can even imagine. My grandson will be turning 3 this year. And I can't believe how fast 3 years have gone by. Me and my daughter were talking. It's like, the time is going to go by. And if you're not intentional about establishing boundaries, time will go by and you will miss the most important things in life.
Wow. What leadership skills do you see in David before he ascended to the throne at this point in the cave?
So I think number one, to be a great leader, you also have to be a great follower. So David was a great follower. He followed Saul even to his own detriment. I'm not recommending that.
Right.
But I'm just saying.
Saw that. Yeah.
To be a great leader, you do have to learn how to follow. And what I mean by follow is you've always got to do your job to lift up your leader. So my job at work is to make sure that my leadership team doesn't have to concern themselves with anything under my care.
Right.
I repeat that, just like they said about Joseph. Nobody worried about the things that Joseph was responsible for.
Wow.
Prison, whether it's
Sure
Potiphar's house, whether it was Pharaoh, the Bible says 3 times that they did not concern themselves with anything that was under Joseph's care.
Oh, wow.
And so that is my job as a leader, is to make sure my leaders don't have to worry about me, that I help them to look good. I help them to shine. And as a result of that, then I also will shine. So I think he was a great follower. I think we talk about this a little bit, but I think he had the correct mindset.
Yeah.
Because leadership requires a different mindset, a different mentality.
Right.
I think he also had to be a great communicator.
Right.
Because he kept the group together.
Sure did.
Through life's most difficult issues. Again, let's not forget, they were trying to kill him.
Sure was.
Find him.
That's the pressure.
And kill him.
Yep. That's the pressure.
So I think he was great at communication. He was great at charting vision. He was great at keeping people together.
Right.
And he was also great at accountability. Because even when they attacked Saul, he went back and held them accountable. They were looking at him like, he would have killed us if he had the chance. All I did was cut something off, and you mad at us.
Right.
But he never compromised on his values as a leader. So, and that's another part. Like, I think your integrity can't be for sale to get position.
That's right. That's right.
As a leader, right, you can't compromise on your values, because if you do, then the people around you will as well.
My goodness. Now, on that, let's look at, how does David's calmness under pressure reveals his character as a leader? You said a little bit about it, but being calm under this pressure.
Yeah, just trust. So the Bible says David was a man after God's own
heart. Yeah.
Bible says he spent time with God and in his presence, right? So he had the heart of God.
That's what I want.
Regardless the decisions he made, he still was a man after God's own heart. And so if you think you can have success in any arena without God, you're sadly mistaken.
That's right.
That is what gives me peace. That is what will give you peace. Peace that surpasses all understanding.
That's right.
It is, I will always prioritize getting in God's presence.
That's right.
So when I face adversity, I know all things will work together for my good. I know that if God be for me, who can be against me? I know that he's got a plan for me, for my future, my hope, and it's a plan that will ensure that I have prosperity. So I think David's calmness comes from him spending time in the presence of God.
Amen.
So now he has the peace, even facing life-threatening situations.
Amen.
He knows that God's going to work it out for him.
Amen. And I just want everyone to be very aware. We're not talking about pressure that David was facing in a light sense. He told Jonathan, life and death is only a step away. So he was not going back to that castle, knowing that his life was on the line. So now he's in a situation where he's on the run and he's having to work under these constraints and still yet staying in the face of God and trusting God. Now, that's pretty powerful, considering how we do in the flesh.
Well, you brought up Jonathan. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Because you also gotta have an ace.
Right.
You gotta have somebody that believes it like you believe it.
Right.
You gotta have somebody that Jonathan said, if you want to go, let's go.
That's right.
Right? Because that gives you the ability to take a moment and get into God's presence, because you have that leader behind you that is speaking the same thing. You don't have an Absalom in your camp that's saying something different than what you're saying.
That's right. That's right.
Jonathan said, whatever you want to do, wherever you want to go,
that's right.
I'm with you.
That's right.
That is how David was able to consistently stay in God's presence, because his number 2 wasn't speaking a different language than he was. So be very careful, just as an antidote, who you put in the second position.
That's right. Hey, woo. See, man, I'm so glad you brought that principle out, because A lot of people don't understand that principle, and it's a real principle. Most leadership, when they fall, it ain't always what's on the outside that got them. It's what was right up on them. And sometimes if they're not trained and mentored to understand that point of the number two, or that person that is with you and moving in the same mindset, those are the people, okay, that you really want God to really put in your life and trust.
Yes.
Because it's a principle there. You know, you don't get defeated a lot of time by the environment. A lot of time we in leadership, we so busy fighting the environment that we forget everything that's up on them. And that's the reason we have to talk about this thing about staying connected. It's so important. And Jonathan, and then if I'm not mistaken, he had Joab. Remember, Joab was a very faithful soldier. I mean, he just take you out, man. Just by David said, get him. You know. So,
Yeah. Well, so it's the number two, and
yeah.
then you also always have to have that person that can get it done.
They can get it done. That's
that
right.
You can give the mission to, and no matter what,
right,
they're gonna get it done.
They're gonna get it done. I find that out with who's that? I think I had some of my kids. One of my kids or something. I could always say go do to tell one that want to run it to go do it, but knowing I'm talking to the one that's gonna get it done. You see what I'm saying? And they'll just make sure it's taken care of. But you know, you have that in any organization, those different diversities of personality. But you're at this on a daily. You know, you're confronted with it. Well, in my business, it's just me. You know, I don't argue with nobody else. It's just me. You know, so but when you have to deal with people in ministry, and corporate life, these things become very important. And the reason I keep talking about this issue of pressure is because so many of our leaders are under those pressures, you know, and that pressure sometimes cause you to not get in the face of God. It'll cause you to not pay attention to the assignment and the vision that God has given you because of pressure.
Yeah, but I mean, pressure's the job. To whom much is given, you know, much more is required. So
that's right.
Pressure is a part of the assignment as a leader, right? So if you don't want to deal with pressure, leadership is probably not for you because, you know, even Paul said, I face on a daily basis all of these issues. And then on top of that, I got to make sure that I'm continuing to help you guys grow spiritually. So pressure is just a part of it. Now, I'll go back to what you said. You said, it's just me. I would tell you the hardest person in the world to lead is the person in the mirror.
That's right.
It's the person in the mirror because, see, you can lie to you.
Yeah.
You can lie to you. You cannot keep your word to yourself. And nobody's going to see it.
That's right.
Because it's just you. So I think that's the first key to leadership is, am I leading myself well? Am I disciplined? Am I consistent? Am I keeping my word to myself?
Amen. You know, that's what this month's sermon series, lead yourself first. So praise God. I mean, it's reminding me of what I was saying. You know, like you said, I only get a chance to hear what I said once Isaiah puts it back on tape, and I get a chance to hear and say, wow, did I say that? You know? So, you know, and then I find out that I do struggle. I mean, I'm telling the truth, man. I mean, I can deliver those messages, write them up. God can give it to me and everything I can deliver. But when I listen back, I'm just like everybody else. And I've been known to ask myself, do you know that fellow? You know, so, you know, and leadership is about leading yourself first. And if we can get that in all the individuals that follow us or fellowship with us or we disciple, then I believe we'll have a stronger organization, a stronger church, stronger corporate body. And I believe this is why corporations spend so much money and investment on their leaders, you know, to get them to understand, lead yourself first before you come in here.
Yeah, it's the only way you can get the vision to come to pass.
Yeah.
And I think also one key element of leadership is something you just did, is to be honest and transparent and to be humble.
Yeah.
You know, what I see in this environment is, unfortunately, especially in our community, right, we deify the individual with the title of pastor.
Right.
We look to that person as if they are God in the flesh.
That's right.
And some of them, unfortunately, operate as if they are.
That's right. That's right.
But the truth of the matter is, like, we're human.
That's right.
God has given us a gift to communicate.
That's right.
It's just a gift. No different than a person that has the gift of painting or a person that's a great writer. It's a skill, it's a gift, it's a talent God has blessed you with. But when I'm done writing the book or painting the picture, I still got to live real life.
That's right.
So when these cameras cut off and we go back home, guess what? I got to live what I'm talking about, but I'm struggling every single day.
That's right. That's right.
I'm struggling to lead myself well, to lead my family well, to make the right decisions financially, to lead my team well. It's not as if we got it all together.
That's right.
We are in the process, just like everybody else.
That's right. That's right. You know, that term, what would the possibility of living in that perfect life really look like? And do we ever get there?
No. There's
No.
no such, you know, as long as we on this earth, man, it will always be room for growth.
That's right.
Not that I have obtained
that
which is obtainable, but this one thing I do, I forget what's behind me and I press. And that's our job every day is to press. There's no such thing as perfection.
That's right.
There's no one perfect. No,
that's right.
Not one.
That's right.
Every day we are in the press. Every day we are trying to get better. Every day we're trying to be, I'm trying to be a better husband.
That's right.
I'm trying to be a better father. I'm trying to be a better leader. It's a daily, and it never ends until he calls us home.
That's right. That's right. And how many of us do you believe really sit back and say, you know, I'm basically just carrying out an objective for the Lord?
I do. I do. I think that's how I look at it.
Right.
That he's given me a gift. He's given me a talent. You know, my first video of the year, my wife had been on me. So speaking about transparent, so probably for about 4 or 5 months, like I wasn't posting anything.
Wow. Okay.
And my wife just, so you just done posting now, huh? So you just not gonna do the thing you said you're gonna do. You're not gonna stay committed to what you said.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And so I said, you know what? I've got to understand that I don't have to be the star of the show. I've just got to do what God is telling me to do. I've got to say what God is telling me to say every single day, consistently.
That's right.
And faithfully in the same way. That's right. This is where he got me. That you get up and go to work every day.
That's right.
It's a minute and 30 seconds.
That's right.
You telling me in a 24-hour period, you don't have a minute and 30 seconds.
That's right.
So we've got to understand, like, it's just the mission that God has given us. And we are vessels.
That's right.
For his mission.
And I think as you know, your wife, as I was listening to you, put me in the frame of Aaron and Miriam when they was holding Moses' arm up during the war. A lot of times we have to have somebody to get that arm back up for us when we're tired, and that war seems like it's long. You know, it seems like it's long, or whatever the distractions are. We still need somebody to be there with us to help us and remind us. You said this, you know, and once that resonate with us and we get back out there, I believe God is ready to, you know, give us more insight on the next journey.
You need accountability.
You got to have accountability. And my wife and I, we was talking about that purpose and that accountability and all the things that really, really go along with leadership is real. And until we get to that point, we'll always be walking in mediocrity, you know, and not doing our best and being the fullness of who God called us. It's a few more questions. I don't want to let these get past me. What did David do to build trust quickly with discouraged men?
Yeah, I just think he was a man of his word.
Man of his word.
So trust, I think trust comes through consistent action over time.
Right.
People trust you when they know that you are a person that will do what you said. You're a person that keeps your commitments,
Yeah.
and you're a person that executes in the way that you say you would.
That's right.
And so I think that's why those men trusted David, because they saw his character. They saw how he operated. They saw how he was executing. And it's easy to trust a person that does what they say.
Wow. And here's the thing I want to point out is along those lines. In 1 Samuel, the 22nd chapter, in verses 6 through 8, there was a contrast in Saul and David. It was showing that Saul accuses and mistrusts his own men.
Yeah, but I don't believe Saul actually didn't trust David.
Right.
I believe Saul was intimidated by.
It's saying that Saul mistrust his own
Oh yeah, his
men.
soldiers. Okay, yeah,
his own soldiers, whereas David didn't.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, right.
David was that guy that most likely was like, "Hey, you can do this. You're gonna make it." Whereas Saul carrying a spirit of mistrust.
Yeah.
And I believe it can be. I believe our followers recognize when we don't trust them.
Yeah, it's easy to see.
Yeah.
Because you don't give them opportunities.
Right.
If you don't trust the people around you, see, for me as a leader, as I get promoted, I've got to be able to delegate tasks.
That's right. That's right.
And my most important things, I'm going to give to someone that I trust will take care of it.
That's right.
So what happens is when we don't trust people, then we tend to hold everything in.
Yeah.
And as a leader, you just can't, you cannot do it all. I don't have the capacity to do it all.
Right.
So I got to trust the people around me. And I think that comes from, in Saul's case, as a leader, when you become paranoid and you have a bunch of anxiety,
right,
I don't think you can hear clearly. And
right.
so if you can't trust the people around you, guess what?
Wow.
You're in trouble.
Wow. Although Saul literally lived, the spirit of Saul is so prevalent in our leadership, in our country, in our churches. The spirit of Saul is very.
Listen, I think that's why the church isn't moving forward. So, like, people got all upset about the skit that Drewski did, and what I said was, I've been in mega churches, and that is not the portrait or picture of every mega church,
right?
But there are absolutely leaders, church leaders, who get into ministry for their own selfish gain. They're not in it for the people. They're in it for the popularity. They're in it for all of the prosperity they want. And listen, I dress nice.
That's right.
I have a nice home.
Right.
I drive a nice car.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with things.
That's right.
That's not the issue.
That's not.
So I don't want to ever make people feel like to get into ministry, we have to take this vow of poverty, because that's not true.
That's not where we at.
It is a heart issue.
Yeah.
It is, how do things have you? And I think a lot of our leaders currently get into position not to be of service, but to be served.
Yep.
And I think that is the issue. That is that Saul mentality. I'm not going to try and grow anybody. Anybody that starts to pop up ahead of me, I'm going to drag them down. I'm going to preach about them in the pulpit, right? That is prevalent, unfortunately, in some of our church leaders.
And one of the things, just from my backdrop, I remember when I was a sergeant in the United States Army, and I crossed over to become a warrant officer, okay? And I can never forget the lesson that I learned that was so distinct while I was out there training. And the Lord showed, I was preaching and everything. And the Lord showed it to me. He said, you have to pay attention that you're only leading only for an objective reason, okay? Once it's over with, it's over with. And one thing about a sergeant, he has to really carry a little bit more force to ensure that things are carried out or what have you. But once you get to an officership, it becomes a situation where you'll turn around, Travis, and say, I really don't want that assignment because I know what it's going to take. You got to lead, or you got to deal with this, or you got to deal with that. And unfortunately, in what we call the civilian life, they don't see leadership that way, where at certain points you don't want that position because you got to lead and carry this out maybe a year, 2 years, or whatever. And what the training did, it took that ambition to want to just be out front and understand that it's all right to delegate. It's all right to not have to be the president. It's all, but they all have objective to them. So when we take over leadership, it has to have an objective that's good for the people, hopefully, and that's what I learned. And I believe once I got back towards ministry, I could do it or do without it based on what the Lord said.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I got on to the business of actually rearing my children because I had that pressure off of me. I had that responsibility off of me. And, if you don't get enough people to work with you on something, you're not going to be an effective leader anyway.
Yeah, I think the point you make is that sometimes, some leaders deal in the transactional world instead of the relational world.
Right.
So meaning they use people as a means to an end.
Right.
And they never develop relationship.
That's right.
So I think that's also the sign of a great leader, that it's not just transactional. It's not once this transaction is complete, then I'm no longer your leader. It is we've built a relationship over time.
That's right.
So, and then also another great point you made, and I'm at this point in my career now, where you ought to analyze whether you're willing to make the sacrifice for that level.
That's right.
So as I look at myself, if they come to me and say, all right, Travis, we want to promote you to director.
Right.
Then I've got to sit down. That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with a better salary, and it comes with better equity, and it comes with a bigger bonus.
Right.
It does. But I've got to sit down and say, in order to take this role, what does that actually mean in terms of commitment?
Wow.
What does that mean to my family structure and my family dynamic? Am I going to be available to be a part? Am I going to be able to be at my grandson's birthday party, to show up at family events? Or am I going to be in Amsterdam or in Italy trying to manage issues?
Right.
So there comes a point where you have to look at, I can now at this stage of my career say, I don't think an extra $50,000 a year is worth that, because it's not going to fundamentally change my life. My life, I'm structured now. I have the things I want now. So the title is no longer what I'm chasing. Now I'm chasing this. I'm chasing contentment. I'm chasing peace. I'm chasing the ability to be involved and engaged in my family's life, and not, oh well, he's director now.
Right. And when you start going back into talking about the grandchildren and the grandchild and family, you're talking about the legacy, going towards the legacy stage. What real example am I going to leave for them? Or am I going to be grandpa that was so busy I barely got to know the grandson or the granddaughter or what have you, or the family man that just put everything into his career, And you have to actually think about that. That is something that is serious to really consider when you think about your family, the time and how fast they grow. As you said earlier, our children grow fast,
man.
Point blank. You're talking about your daughter done grew. She's already family, has her own family now.
My son just got married.
You see what I'm saying?
Isaiah, he just got married. Isaiah, just got married. Jeremiah will be 21.
Wow.
Matthew will be 19. So
wow,
the time flies.
Wow, man.
And so if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life thinking. And what you tell yourself is, a lot of people do, I'm doing this for them. I'm doing it for them. I want them to have a better life. And if you have a conversation with them, they would tell you they would rather have you and the time than the material
Period.
things you're
That's right.
trying to get for them.
That's right. Because I think I would hate to hear where were you at,
Mm-hmm.
in any situation. We're gonna close out here on this particular question because I really, really think it needs to be summed up right here. What leadership lesson can we learn from David leading in an unfair cave season?
Yeah, most of your life will be in, as a leader, it will be in what you can call that unfair cave season, um, where you feel misunderstood, where you feel persecuted, especially in today's climate. Like if you're a front-facing leader and there's social media, there's everybody's opinions, everybody's hyper analyzing every word you say, and if you make one misstep or one mistake,
Right.
your entire legacy is put at risk. So I think that you have to learn how to remain confident that you will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. No matter where you are, I will remain confident in this. I'm going to see the goodness of the Lord.
Amen.
I know this is working for my good. I know that this is part of God's plan. I know that He is protecting me. I know that I'm going in the direction that He's telling me to go. And I know that because of that, I'm not moved by adversity.
Wow.
It's a part of it.
Wow.
So as a leader, you've got to understand adversity comes with it. Pressure comes with it. Being misunderstood comes with it. Having to lead well and effectively in crisis situations comes with it, because everybody's looking at you on what they can do and how they can respond and how they can react. You set the temperature. You are the thermostat. As you move, your people move. So it's just learning, man. I'm always going to be in the cave.
All righty. All righty. You all have heard it. You heard it. You heard it from an active leader, okay? Brother Travis Buckner, he's an active leader in corporate America and in ministry. And we have finished up talking about King David as he trained disheartened men, broken men to become great leaders. And I hope that what we have said today have encouraged you, has inspired you to stay on the forefront. If you're a leader, stay on the forefront. If it feels like you're slipping, hey, hopefully we have said something that you identify with that can just pick you back up and send you back in front of your people with a greater confidence and a greater sense of challenge to get the vision accomplished as the Lord has pressed upon your heart. Until next time, be blessed.